Andre Fialho versus Miguel Thunder Carmel Baeza. I know I did that backwards. It's Carmel Thunder, but I don't care. Andre Fialho is coming off a loss to a very tough Michel Paeta, coming at 14-4, just after his debut loss in the UFC, the aforementioned Michel Paeta. He's coming at 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. Obviously, that would be in the welterweight division. And Miguel Carmel Thunder Baeza coming on 2-fight skid after I was very high on him at 10-0. Although he's fought some tough guys and Chaos Williams, where he got KO'd, and also Santiago Ponzinibbio, who is a quality fighter. Miguel is coming in at 6'2" with a 74.5-inch reach. This is going to be as about stand-up battle as it gets. And even though I've been high on Miguel Baeza in the past, I'm saying the skid continues. Andre Fialho came in his last fight and took the first round in his, debut against a very tough Michel Paeta, who is unorthodox as it gets. And, his kick-heavy approach, keeping him at distance, he was still connecting when he got into distance. And I think his boxing is damn good, dude. I think he has one of the best boxing games. Obviously, Michel Paeta's chin looked great compared to, some previous fights. I don't know if that's because Andre doesn't have power, but we saw that Miguel Baeza is acceptable as knockouts. Obviously, Chaos Williams has great power, and he was flatlined in that past fight. But I think the technical boxing gets it done for Andre Fialho, and mostly a boxing match. I don't see much takedowns or kicks getting thrown into this fight.
See, that's sad. And it's only sad because I imagine that's where Miguel Baeza would have the advantage. I think he's a little bit longer, so I think looking to kick to the body and the legs and, kind of chop Andre Fialho down would have to be his path to victory. But I side with you on this one, man. I think Andre Fialho, he's got an it factor about him. He's a big 170 guy. He's a big, powerful 170 pounder. And he took the last fight against Pereira on 10 days notice. So, coming into that fight out of shape, having to make that weight cut, and then still being able to win the first round, I think he's got a lot of power that wasn't on display that night just because the weight cut took such a toll on him. I don't think that'll be the case this time now that he's had a full camp. I mean, the dude had 4 knockouts, 4 first-round knockouts. Oh, James Vick got to the second round in 2021. He's on a tear, and he's got this it factor. I listened to him talk today, and he said what every fighter's supposed to say. I'm going to knock him out in the first round. As much as we'd like to see that, I think, now that we've picked him, I think Baeza's a little bit tougher than that. I think he's going to have to work strategically to crack that egg. But I think he goes forward. He's got crisp combinations, and kind of similar to what I said about Lazzez, Baeza, I feel like, is going to have a hard time finding success if he's going backwards.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was a big fan of Miguel Baez, but his last 2 fights against upper echelon competition, I mean, these are guys on the outer rim of 15. I know Santiago was ranked. I don't think Chaos is even ranked. So I like the crispness of Andre Fialho's boxing. I like the technicality of it and his counter strikes. Especially against somebody who's so unorthodox as Michel Paeta. So I'm confident in him. I know he's the underdog, but
well, it's kind of like
he held up, dude. His chin really held up against a very strong guy his last time out on short notice too.
I'm telling you, and it's kind of like what you just said in our last video about when you have 2 guys that are such good wrestlers, you might see a striking matchup. Worst comes to worst here. I think, if Fialho has to wrestle, He's probably got the straight wrestling advantage being, a Sanford MMA guy. There's not a whole lot of sampling of it, but I don't think Baeza's takedown defense is very great. I think Baeza's got sneaky jujitsu. So if he gets put on his back, you could be looking for him to start looking for a sub. But I think if Fialho gets on top and starts laying that heavy ground and pound into him, could be over in the second round.
Yeah, for the second round. Well, let's see what the odd makers have in store for us this weekend. We have Andre Fialho coming as the plus 150 dog and Miguel Baeza minus 165. And, after watching both these guys, I have a hard time believing that they're confident. And even as high as minus 186 in Miguel Baeza, because that's kind of preposterous.
I mean, I just genuinely think people haven't watched enough tape on Andre Fialho. And I think they make a lot out of the fact that he gassed in those late rounds against Pereira. He's on 10 days notice. He's got a full camp now. I can't imagine that gas will be an issue for him unless he just, for whatever reason, decides to open the tank and unload it in the first round.
I mean, I'm taking money line to the bank plus 155. I think that's your best bet of the entire night.
Agreed.
If you bet on one thing, I think this is our one lock. This is big balls in Cowtown. No bullshit.
Look, I won't go as far as big balls in Cowtown, but I think when you're looking at, the chance that the underdog wins, the value of the money line and the pick all together, this might be the highest value, most bang for your buck pick on this card. I think the plus 315 prop for a knockout might be worth a little taste, but outside of that, I think really playing the money line and sticking to her is going to be your best route to victory on this one.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see the knockout power. I would love to see him wobble Faeda in his last matchup to be more confident in Fialho by knockout, but you just didn't see that, for a plethora of reasons. Michelle Pieda's chin might have been looking better that night for whatever reason. His weight cut might have been going better. It might have been weight cut of Fialho. You don't know. But maybe your dark horse wild card pick prop of the night is Fialho by knockout. But I'm not riding home on that this weekend.
All I got to say is same thing I said last week, actually. An underdog is going to win somewhere on this main card. It's not going to be straight favorites from top to bottom. No way when they made this card the way it is. TJ Laramie's a solid underdog pick. Don't get me wrong, especially for the value, but I think Sabatini beats him. Here, I think Fialho gets it done, and this is probably your best underdog play of the night, even
Absolutely.
looking down at the undercard.